All right, our second performer this evening will be Kevin Pabst, performing his communication analysis. Communication analysis is an event essentially where a student writes a 10-minute speech critiquing a particular communication artifact. This can be anything from a speech to a piece of media to even a video game. To do this analysis, you employ a rhetorical method of some sort. So if you've ever taken a rhetorical criticism class, this is very similar to that, and then you draw implications. Tonight's speaker is Kevin Pabst. He is a junior from Niceville, Florida. He has 4 events qualified for the AFA in IET this year, this communication analysis being one of them. So please welcome Kevin Pabst.
As a video game designer, Ryan Green is one of few to have created a game based on his own life. However, unlike the protagonists of most video games, Ryan is not a special ops soldier or a mythological creature. He's the father of a 4-year-old son with cancer. Entitled That Dragon Cancer, Green's new independent video game places you in his shoes, playing as the father of Joel, who's battling his 9th tumor recurrence. You do not get special powers, and there is no beating the game. The sole purpose, to enable players to experience the pain of another's suffering. Green's emotions bleed through a combination of various sensory elements throughout gameplay, including the abstract visuals pictured here, somber monologues expressing Green's suffering, and an ambient soundtrack featuring the sounds of hospitals, such as a dripping IV tube and Joel's screams of pain. NBC of August 20th, 2013 reports that Dragon Cancer is at the forefront of an emerging trend called empathy games, which attempt to portray some aspect of human experience. Among these, Green's is considered the most unrelentingly honest and thoroughly heartbreaking. Therefore, we must ask the research question, does that Dragon Cancer effectively foster transformative empathy? In order to answer this question, we will examine Lee Ann Howard's model, Expressions of Experience and Transformation, Performing Illness Narratives, published in the April 2013 edition of Text and Performance Quarterly. We shall first outline Howard's model, second, apply it to That Dragon Cancer, and finally, discuss some implications to what Green himself calls a game about hope in the face of death. In her article, Green details her execution of the Living and Learning About AIDS and HIV Performance Project, a public presentation wherein University of Southern Indiana students acted out AIDS narratives while encouraging audience participation. She describes how an interactive narrative employs empathy to foster transformation, thus proving optimal for our analysis. Howard provides 3 key tenets: situation is dialogue, narrative competence, and unity. First, situation is dialogue. This is the construction of a narrative as an interaction between storyteller and audience member. In Living and Learning About AIDS and HIV, USI students encourage their audiences to ask their characters questions about their narratives. Thus, situation is dialogue enables audiences to intervene as problems are dramatized. Howard offers, because of this, presentations can initiate awareness, empathy, and even incremental change within audiences. Second, narrative competence. Howard describes this as presentations that connect audiences to personal stories of pain and suffering. In Living and Learning About AIDS and HIV, Howard argues the presentations weren't just about sharing information, they were about sharing a lived experience, provoking an empathetic response, and thus transforming through thoughtful understanding. And finally, unity. As Howard claims, in order for interactive narratives to foster transformation, they must unite all who are well with all who are ill. In Living and Learning About AIDS and HIV, the use of empathy enabled audiences to form a collective and build solidarity with those performing the narratives, thus creating a transformative experience. With an understanding of Howard's model, we can next apply her tenets to That Dragon Cancer. First, situation is dialogue. In one segment, a sound clip is played featuring the haunting line, "If you hold tight enough, nothing will take him." right? This and other elements of the game mandate an immediate response from the player, establishing an interaction between storyteller and audience member. The Telegraph of July 12, 2013 reports players piece this difficult reality together around themselves and become implicated in it. Green's narrative enables audiences to intervene in problems as they are dramatized, thus fulfilling our first tenet. Second, narrative competence. That Dragon Cancer specifically enables audiences to understand Green's personal pain and suffering. On Adventure Gamer's review site of November 8, 2013, video game critic Emily Morganti details one level of gameplay. You stand in an intensive care unit, deafened by the gut-wrenching screams of Joel, who is thirsty from dehydration, but too sick to actually consume anything without vomiting. You can either feed Joel juice that will immediately be thrown up, cradle him as he continues to scream, or walk to the window and pray. The level cannot be beaten. By enabling players to endure Green's experience as he did, a deeper understanding of his personal pain and suffering is established, thus fulfilling our second tenet. And finally, unity. Video game news site Polygon of May 9, 2013 reports how That Dragon Cancer has had an impact on nearly every player that almost no other game has had. An emotional response so strong, it often results in weeping. For some, that reaction is moving enough to unite players with Ryan. But for others, the game is simply too much. The previously cited Emily Morganti explains, "I'm not sure I want to go up against Joel's cancer, because I already know this is not a dragon I have the ability to outsmart or to slay." That Dragon Cancer definitely impacts its players, but it has such a dramatic impact that it alienates as many as it unites, leaving our final tenet unfulfilled. With an understanding of how Howard's model applies to Green's game, we can return to our research question. Does That Dragon Cancer effectively foster transformative empathy? This game definitely enables players to empathize with its creator and consistently establishes transformation on some level. However, the nature of that transformation remains inconsistent. Some find the experience moving, others too dismal to embrace. This leads us to implications on the rhetorical and semantic levels. First, the video game is a powerful rhetorical medium rather than mere entertainment. Yahoo News of October 15, 2013 reports, unlike any other medium, video games require interactivity and active decision-making, and thus are far more effective at establishing empathy and understanding. However, according to the Wall Street Journal of August 15, 2013, compared to the overall video game industry, the entire universe of empathy games is minuscule and relegated completely to independent game developers. The unfortunate reality is very few gamers would choose to play a game about childhood cancer over something like Call of Duty. Thus, That Dragon Cancer is stuck in a catch-22. Is one of the only mediums powerful enough to foster true empathy of Green's narrative, is the only medium where such a narrative might not ever be fully embraced. Second, on a semantic level, this game suffers from being called a game. Educational research site Teach Thought of November 2nd, 2013 reports, unlike any other media form, video games suffer from connotation, one that implies fun and entertainment. With That Dragon Cancer, these expectations are not met, often resulting in the shocked reactions that cause audience alienation. The previously cited Telegraph contends That Dragon Cancer should come with some sort of warning as players fall into this experience before realizing where it will lead them. If Green's narrative was marketed as a therapeutic tool or a resource for friends of those struggling with childhood cancer, audiences would have a clear idea of what to expect. Thus, less alienation would occur, and That Dragon Cancer could effectively meet Howard's currently unfulfilled third tenet of unity. Unfortunately, its current status as a video game not only hinders its admirable goals, but by sheer connotation, sets up suffering as sport. Today, we have analyzed Ryan Green's video game narrative, That Dragon Cancer, by first outlining Leanne Howard's model, then applying it to the game before finally drawing some implications. While Green wanted to depict the brutality of childhood cancer, he also intended to reflect the undying hope of a loving parent. While his duality of pain and hope might not ever reach the right audiences, coverage of That Dragon Cancer has enabled Ryan to meet at least one hope: helping audiences feel comfortable engaging in conversations about pain.